Okay, yeah.
And there's one Corsa in there for Bournemouth, and then down to Gaydon, and Eric can top you up for Southampton.
Yeah.
For Pete, trucking is not so much a profession as a way of life. So when he's not delivering new cars for Richard Lawson, he can often be found planning a truck filming excursion somewhere. Both tasks require meticulous planning, but that is second nature to the tireless leader of endurance tours. So how long's the flight, Pete, from start to finish? I forget now.
Plan is that we leave on the 22nd of March from Heathrow. We'll be flying via Bangkok down to Sydney, where we'll be changing planes and going on to Auckland. Travelling time is about 27 hours, so I bet we'll be pretty tired when we get there, but we're going to pick up the people carrier and then travel down to Manurewa to meet up with Keith. I expect you'll be looking forward to seeing this all for sure.
It'd be nice if we could get a ride again like we did last time, wouldn't it? Do you remember those Pacifics we all went in? That was a good crack.
That's all a question of timing really. We're on a lot shorter trip this time, so with the timing like it is, you know, it's going to be difficult to fix it in, but I'm sure we can try our best. Of course the Pacifics now are not around like they used to be. There's still a few remaining Pacifics, but I'll do my best.
Chance we'll get to see any of Stan Williams' collection. I'd love to see some of his stuff from the 50s and 60s.
I have planned to go and see Stan at Tafuk. We've got the sort of last few remaining Scammell Crusaders still running in New Zealand, and used to run a big fleet, one of the biggest fleets in the Southern Hemisphere, I believe. And yeah, I've arranged to go and see him, and hopefully we'll go and see Bert Watchorn as well, who is also got a large museum of 50s and 60s trucks. So I look forward to seeing both of them actually. Yeah, pretty good.
We'll get to see any of them new Argosy 8-wheelers. They're a great looking truck.
Oh yeah, we'll see some Argosies. I mean, they're very popular now in New Zealand, and for sure we'll see some Argosies.
Hey, just look at that. I hope we get to see some of them. I like to see some of them Mack Titans as well. I reckon they really look good, don't they? I like them stem trucks.
I think the scene will be pretty well the same as we was there before. Obviously, the newer models, Scanias and what have you. Obviously, a lot more horsepower these days. Obviously, from when they were like, you know, when we were there before. Yeah, I think it'll be good. Apparently, up in the Northlands now, there's a big new logging area which is opened up, and Keith recommends that we travel up to there to have a look around. So yeah, somewhere new, which is always nice.
How early do you reckon we should get to the airport this time then, with all the increased security?
Yeah, well, I think we get there early. It's almost better to get to these, you know, early. The earlier the better, really. Then you can get rid of your luggage and get hooked in and relax and get ready for the trip. I just have to ask you boys that to pack some equipment for me, because you know these days I never travel light, and I need a hand with some of the gear. So if you'd like to volunteer your services for me. As you can see, we're travelling light again.
At the airport, Pete, Norman and I carry out our last minute checks, and the pilgrim foursome is finally complete when Adrian joins us. Then it's time for the 27-hour haul around to the other side of the world. Good job we brought some truck magazines to read on the way.
Good speed, Martin, but we haven't done much videoing yet. See, weather is rather inclement at the moment. It has been for the last 48 hours.
It's hardly the sort of reception we would have wanted, but spirits are high despite the downpour. It might be tipping down, but it's still hard to beat the sight of a nice FH8 wheeler and drag. That's the sort of thing we're here for. And anyway, who said wet weather shots can't be effective? First port of call is the Brenderwin Hills. As you can see, conditions are far from ideal, but Pete is determined to get stuck in no matter what. tell you what I love about this place, and that's the sheer variety. I mean, look at it. Where else can you get English, American, Japanese, eight-wheeler and drags, loggers, curtain siders, tankers, livestock, Arctics, B-trains, you name it, and all on the same stretch of road. You just won't get that anywhere else in the world.
I've travelled halfway across the world. I spent a lot of money on a rain cover for the camera, so I'm going to get out there and make best use of it. And a little bit of rain's not going to stop me filming.
It's just amazing how much faster everything storms up the hills with anything up to 500 horses on tap. And some outfits just seem to go better than others. I guess it's all a matter of overall gearing and driver input, of course. There's one of T&D's. They look great, don't they? Didn't they win Best Fleet Prize at Hamilton Show in 1993? I'm sure they're the same colours and they still look just as good.
Here we are. It's 10 years on from the first tour of New Zealand, and the boys have come back for their anniversary trip. Unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond my control, I couldn't take any time off. But yeah, so we did the first trip, and then 12 months later I came back out, did the 12-month working trip. Then I met my beloved Leslie, and decided to make New Zealand my home. After a lot of money and a lot of time, eventually the dream was realised, and now I've got full New Zealand citizenship. So I've got best of both worlds. I can go between the UK and New Zealand as I wish. So life in New Zealand, I've had quite a few jobs, but then that's always been my way. I've never seemed to stick at a job, and now I've finally got to the top of the ladder, I suppose you could say, and driving petrol tankers around the upper North Island of New Zealand. It's one of the best jobs you can get over here. There's not really anything better than that, so we're quite satisfied with that. Climate over here is a lot warmer in the Auckland area. Further south you go, the colder it gets. It's sort of the opposite of England. So Auckland's quite a wet area. Rains quite a bit, but it doesn't get too cold. You can wear shorts most of the year. Unfortunately for the other people that have to look at my legs. Out to Murupara, which is sort of the centre of the logging for the Kangaroa area, and I think it's changed a little bit since we were there 10 years ago. The configuration of the vehicles has changed. Instead of multi-trailers, I think they're using a lot of stem trucks now, which is basically as soon as the tree is cut down, it's delimbed, put on the back of the truck, and then it's graded when it gets to the yards, rather than the guys doing it out in the bush.
As Keith mentioned, entire tree lengths are being hauled out of the forest on stem trucks, working at gross weights around 80 or 90 tonnes. It's an entirely different system to what we saw 10 years ago, and we hear it was pioneered by haulier Stan Williamson, who we're hoping to meet up with later. As you would expect, it's a development we're all keen to check out. Unfortunately, that means some poor sod has to take a ride in a new Kenworth Tri-Drive. It's a tough life, but somebody has to do it. Those stems really drag the power down on the banks. I reckon we must be fairly well freighted. It's difficult to appreciate the sheer size of the so-called stems until you realise that it takes 2 machines to do the business of offloading rather than one. Those guys are really well synchronised. It's almost like watching a ballet.
Yeah, as you can see in the bush these days, it's mostly American trucks. These are much more suited to the rigours of bush work. Japanese trucks just don't cut it in the bush. Far too heavy and just don't last. And yeah, tri-drive seems to be the way it's going these days. Kenworths and Western Stars seem to be the choice of most operators. Central tyre inflation, that's the buzzword in the bush at the moment. You have to really have this to go on some of the sites. It's a safety aspect as well. The driver can just dump the pressure in the tyres when he gets into a soft, and then come back onto the haul roads and reinflates the tyres to the optimum running conditions. Also, if they get a puncture, they can if they do get a puncture, they can divert the air system so it's not losing all the air, and just cut that wheel out of it.
Crazy, isn't it? Especially European law, England being England, and it's all...
Yeah, it seems that Kenworth are actually using Sisu rear axles. They seem to be quite popular over there now. We would have thought Kenworth would have been able to produce, well, being able to source axles from their suppliers. Sisu are the way they're going. And I think in Aussie they actually run them. They have extra little fins on the outside for cooling to withstand higher temperatures. A few Pacifics being used. They were the truck to have at one time. Obviously, once they ceased production, I think that was what, 10 years ago. I'm not really sure, but that seems to be when the last ones went on the road. And they've really been struggling to get anything to match their durability. Really, I mean, you get Kenworths, as I said, and Max, and the Western Stars seem to be gradually taking over that little niche, and they do look good, the Pacifics. It's a pity they're dying out, but I expect there'll be some guys still running them into the ground for fear of not being able to replace. And plus they don't really, a lot of them don't want to go over the electronics, fearing that out in the bush if anything goes wrong it's real costly. But electronics have come on a long way these days, so they shouldn't have too many troubles.
Look at that, a Mack Titan straight off the pages of the magazine I was looking at back in England. How was that for planning? Nice one, Pete.
Old Ackley, what do you think of that then, 80?
For Adrian, highlight of our entire trip is meeting one-time haulier Stan Williamson. Although he's retired now, he still looks after his collection of historic vehicles, including one of Adrian's all-time favourites, the LAD Cab Leyland.
When they finished talking about what they were going to do, and when they come home.
Yeah?
Yeah. But, this one I found shedded up into a barn in, well, just a few miles north of Invercargill. And I couldn't resist the temptation.
Gee, no, it's very sound, isn't it?
Yeah, she was driven home.
We all grabbed the opportunity to photograph the famous Crusaders, but it was a bit disappointing to learn that very few are still out earning a living. We'll miss those V8 Detroits giving it big legs. Stan and Adrian are obviously going to become the best of pals, with a great deal to talk about. No surprises there then.
Regal would have been on 8, and that would have been basically the last of the 8 standard. I had done enough. That's the Roots
TS3?
yeah, that's the Roots TS3, yeah. Yeah.
Generally, trucking is a little bit harder over here. There's not so many motorways, more sort of A-class, B-class roads, and therefore more opposing traffic, no centre barriers, so there are a lot more accidents over here, especially the way they design the roads. Pay is less than what you get in the UK, but then your living expenses are a lot less. It's generally a harder job. I mean, curtainsiders are sort of more or less just came in the last 5 years, really, taken over from flat decks. There's still a lot of flat decks around, but that's going to change because, like England, New Zealand has a shortage of truck drivers due to the graduated licensing scheme, which they brought in about 2 years after the UK brought it in. So now it's coming home to roost, and new drivers just can't afford to come in and take their license. And it's a little bit different here. They have to take license for, say, a four-wheeler, have that for 6 months, then take a license for a multi-axle rig, have that for 6 months, and then they can take their trailer license. So all in all, it's a long, drawn-out affair and costs a lot of money. And of course, the money's not really to be made to recover those costs. So unless you can find someone who's going to sponsor you, it could be a little bit tricky. Plenty of jobs, as I said, over here, especially in the logging industry. The logging industry is just what they call a mountain of wood at the moment. And if you want to drive logging trucks, this is the place to come to. But be prepared for long hours and low pay. Hopefully that should change. Yeah, trucks have got a lot more powerful. I think the boys have said that when they've been out and about, they've noticed the trucks are a lot faster these days up the hills. I see there's one truck over here now. It's got about a 620 signature Cummins in it. It's 620. 10 years ago was just unbelievable. So yeah, that's quite a bit of a machine. Kenworths, Max, Freightliners, all the American stuff's here. Even Peterbilt now is getting more popular, private imports and that sort of thing. All the Europeans, and of course we've got the Japanese trucks, which don't really cut it in the horsepower race, but they're cheap and cheerful. You can sort of buy three Japanese trucks for the price of 2 European ones. So if you're only going to keep them 3 years, there's nothing wrong with the Japanese trucks. And they are reliable, but they just haven't got the grunt. It might take you from here to Wellington, you'd probably take about an extra 3/4 of an hour to an hour. And for some people, they just can't have that sort of time delay on time-sensitive freight.
Having filmed in a multitude of different locations over the past 15 years, you can bet your boots that Pete will be recognised by someone. A case in point concerns Mike Beasley from Manurewa. Mike drives the Stephenson's NL, and has been a good friend of Pete and all of us really since 1990. He's a superb photographer and is recognised by other enthusiasts for his encyclopedic knowledge of New Zealand's truck scene. Incidentally, we hear he now drives a brand new International. Good to see you again, Mike. One of the big attractions of the truck scene in New Zealand has always been that trucks are sourced from North America, Europe, Britain and Japan, so the sheer number of makes and models operating here is remarkable, something we can all obviously appreciate. There's also an incredible number of configurations. The biggest operate at 45 tonnes gross on 8 axles. These include multi-wheelers, rigids, drawbars, Arctics and B-trains. Off-road loggers, of course, operate at very much higher weights, as you would expect. We're pleased to see the new port at Whangarei proving so successful, with everyone working flat out hauling logs and even dressed lumber for the export markets. Just as well we took Keith's advice. You can't beat a bit of local knowledge, and we hear it's going to get even busier around here soon when they open the operation up to 24-hour working. Some places are just magic, and here at the port of Taronga there is something for everyone. You can see Atkinson, ERF, Foden, Kenworth, Mack, Freightliner, Western Star, International, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Isuzu, and so on and so on. It really is a truck lover's paradise, and we don't want to leave. Says it all, really. Norm was asking about the Freightliner Argosy earlier on, and I must admit I wondered what he was on about. But I can see now. You're quite right, mate, it is a handsome truck, especially the high roof 8-wheeler. Odd to think that only a few of these can be found in the USA. I find that really strange. Look what they're missing. Too bad Freightliner, or more likely Mercedes, changed their minds about selling them in Britain. What a lovely looking tool.
Kaimais is one of the most famous hills in New Zealand. I forget what the elevation is, but basically it can take you from when you're heading south, coming from the bottom to the top takes about a 15-minute haul when you're loaded, and coming down the other side, down the south side, it's real steep, lots of engine braking, sort of in the low range of the box. Yeah, it's a real driver's hill, and one or two people have come unstuck coming down there too fast.
This is a perfect location to film from, and you can get some decent photos too. Speeds are just about perfect for stills, and of course there is always something of interest just around the corner. On hills like this, the Big Power Brigade have a great opportunity to show off their truck's superior hill climbing ability. And who can blame them? Wouldn't we all do the same?
Conventional Freightliners ain't my favourite, sorry Keith, but they do look good at the front end of Alexander's tankers, mind you, anything would.
Hang on, I think Norm spotted a pub. Or maybe it's another Argosy. No, it's a Mack. I know there's a lot of loggers out here and that doesn't suit everybody, but it's all nice tackle and big power, and besides they really look good. Anyway, logging is a big part of the Kiwi economy. They talk about the mountain of wood down here, and you've only got to stand here and you can watch it going by.
As an occupation, it was a bit of an accident. When I first come to Auckland from up north, I had to get my HT, so yeah, for this job in the contracting industry. So that's how I first got into it. I was driving a little Ford Trader back then.
Yeah?
Yeah, so...
How long ago was that?
Oh, geez, been about 15, 18 years ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, I had hair back then. So.
That's the strain of the job.
Yeah, it must be, yeah. Or the strain of living in Auckland.
How did you get onto Fulton Hogan? Has you been with them a long time?
Yeah, been with them about 10 years now. Yeah, got very lucky there. A position came up and some friends sort of let the transport manager at the time know I was looking for a job, and yeah, it all fell into place very nicely. Very lucky to get in with these guys. Very
Did you start off on tippers with Fulton Hogan?
I was on tracking units doing bulk bitumen.
Yeah.
Doing the liquid and a little bit of wide load stuff.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, just things changed, and yeah, just progressed my way through and sort of specialised a little bit. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the first tipper you drove for them?
We had a tipulator on a tractor unit. That was a what was that on? That was on International Eagle.
Oh, right.
And then I got my Nissan.
Yeah.
Prior to this, so yeah.
How long did you drive that?
I had that for 5-6 years, I think. Yeah. So
A good truck?
yeah, she was very good to me. Yeah, she was a real good girl.
Reliable?
Oh yeah, yeah. Never let me down. She was a good truck. Very pleased. So, and it paved the way for us to get this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And how long have you had this?
Had this nearly 3 months now. So yeah, it's coming along
How do you rate it?
very highly at
Yeah.
this stage. Yeah, it's got a long way to prove itself. However, yeah, at this stage it's all go. Yeah, loving it.
Good power unit?
Oh yeah, it's a good fleet truck. It's not overpowered. It's not underpowered. It's giving us efficiencies we didn't have with the other trucks. Yeah, no, it's coming along really well. So,
How does it compare with the Nissan?
Oh.
World apart?
big world. Yeah, up and down the hills. Having the engine retarder versus the exhaust brake, saving so much more time. Up the hills, yeah, saving a lot of time going up, and of course the fuel difference is amazing. So,
Had any problems with it yet?
no, just little things, like anything new. Just had a bad earth for the headlights.
Right.
Yeah, big deal. So
Yeah.
Do the bolt up a bit tighter. There we go. It's fixed.
You can live with that?
Yeah. So no, everything's going well with it so far.
What
Very
sort of payload do you get in this?
We're putting 29 tonne on it. That puts us under 45 tonne.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got plenty of axles to carry that, so it's not an issue.
Yeah.
So we're quite happy with that. So and having all the axles makes it a lot safer too, I think, compared to the Nissan, which was a 6-wheel and 4-axle.
Yeah.
And now we can spread our load out a little bit better, and it's a lot safer on the road for sure.
Do you not find problems getting into tight sites with this?
Yeah.
4-axle truck and 4-axle trailer?
Yeah, not haven't got the turning like I used to have. I've just got to think a little bit longer, take things a little bit slower, and just take my time on some jobs. But most of our work's pretty good as a rule.
The Mack Quantum, sold in New Zealand and Australia, really sums up the cooperation between manufacturers Renault and Mack, both owned by Volvo, by the way. What with a Renault premium cab, Mack E7 470 engine, Eaton 18 speed and Renault rear axles, the truck is enjoying well-deserved success down here. We have heard that early models suffered from electrical problems. Almost inevitable when you remember that they married the American 12-volt system with a 24-volt system used in European vehicles. But these problems are sorted, and the Quantum is gaining a reputation as a highly efficient fleet truck. Certainly the 18-speed installation is among the best we've seen, and Pete is very envious of the sheer drivability of the truck. As he never stops telling us, it's nothing like his premium.
Really old Kingman. And the latest Mac.
Do you always tip over the drawbar, or do you have to take the trailer off sometimes to squeeze in?
Very rarely we take the trailer off. It'll be a very, very tight spot for us to take the trailer off. Yeah, it just too time consuming taking trailers off. We've got to get the loads in, and yeah, that's what we do. We jackknife. That's our livelihood. Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly wish that I had a 470 Mac and an 18 speed in my went up premium, that's for sure.
The busy scale at Kinleith provided us with another opportunity to photograph logging trucks, and needless to say, we're all absolutely delighted to find several Pacifics still working. Most look in great shape for their age too. Alright, so I didn't get a ride this time. Well, not in a Pacific anyway. Mind you, the Tri-Drive KW made up for it. In terms of slick crane operation, that was certainly a demonstration to take one's hat off to. Well done, Norm. Burt Watchorn's museum is brilliant. It's good to see such a huge collection of British and American kit from the 50s and 60s. You can find everything from a Foden FE4 to an International Harvester. There's a few surprises too, including a 1930s Brockway onto which some pervert fitted a Land Rover cab. Can you credit it? Shame it's so busy, makes it a bit tricky getting photos. Apparently, early in 2003, the Watchorn fleet, which includes this superb Foden Alpha, was disbanded and sold off. 2 weeks in New Zealand, the whole trip's been just unbelievable. It surpassed my expectations. The trucks, the people, the company, it's all been superb. We've lived well, eaten well, travelled well, and I don't want to go home. And that's it.
To be truthful, as Richard has already stated, this excursion has exceeded our wildest expectations. Variety when it comes to trucks, certainly excess rain on occasions. The warmth of the climate has been reflected in the hospitality and general reception and reaction that we've had from its residents. I've been overwhelmingly impressed with every aspect.
For me was seeing those stem trucks and of course the argosies. They looked good.
There's 39 rolls of film used here, which is not bad for a little holiday on the other side of the world. So I'm going to have to go home now and do a lot of overtime to pay for all the developing. This then was our visit to New Zealand in 2003. As you have seen, it's a market attracting the best products from several continents, including ERF and Foden from Britain, the interesting and highly rated Mack Renault Quantum, and most of the Yanks, including the epitome of North American trucking, the Bulldog Mack. But let's allow Adrian and the Bulldog to have the final word.
Peter's encyclopedic knowledge and ability to find his way around a land which frankly I couldn't do in our home country. So overwhelming success on every score as far as I'm concerned. Brilliant.